Mike Damergis here along with Anthony Carlo for the first edition of the Sports Sit-Down, and we got a lot of topics to talk about. First off is Alex Rodriguez. I find it amazing that he's actually retiring with only 4 home runs short of 700.
Oh, absolutely. But, I mean, this one's as plain as day. The Yankees pushed him out. I mean, there's no other way about it. They gave him a position in the future, a special advisor to save face, but come on, there was a grudge here. I mean, AROD tried to sue this organization years ago. I don't think Hal Steinbrenner ever forgot about that, and I feel like they carried that right till the end. They pushed him out, and they gave him a way to save face.
The amazing thing I found is that AROD's really become the baseball face of steroids. Sure. You know, Big Papi gets a pass. He took the brunt of the hits for the steroid stuff, and the amazing thing towards the end is that fans really felt some compassion for him. Right. Kind of he served his time, and they wanted to see him because he was really the only story left in the middle of the summer before all this happened with the rookies right now. So in a way, the Yankee fans actually showed some compassion towards AROD, which I was really surprised.
Well, absolutely. But AROD's legacy is going to be nothing more than controversy. I mean, when you look back at him, as you mentioned, he was a few home runs away from 700. This guy brought a lot of excitement to this team. I mean, fans went to watch him play. But when you look back at his career, is anybody ever going to remember him other than for the steroids? I don't think so.
No, it's going to be hard because a lot of players are going to look like that. Roger Clemens, Barry Bonds, Rafael Palmeiro, Sammy Sosa. A couple of things, though. You have to realize the new 40 is the old 40. And guys after 36, they didn't show much power. A couple of examples here. Mike Schmidt had 2 30-home run seasons after 35 years old. Reggie Jackson had 1 30-home run season after 35. Willie Mays, one of the best players in the history of the game, 0 home runs after 30 years old. Mickey Mantle retired at 36 with 18. Ted Williams had 4 20-home run seasons after 35 and 1 30. And this is a surprise. Hank Aaron had 2 40-home run seasons and 2 30. But what it is players are showing their age. You see that with Mark Teixeira. When I was growing up, when a guy turned 35 or 36, he had maybe 1 or 2 years left, and that was it.
Right.
So the reality of things is you're not going to see the long contracts anymore in Major League Baseball.
Right. But every player, Mike, you just mentioned, none of them can be mentioned in the same breath as Alex Rodriguez. And we know why. It comes down to the steroids. And right now the Yankees look like geniuses for doing what they did. I mean, they brought up a plethora of young talent that are taking the reins right now and making this team an actual playoff contender, potentially. All by getting rid of Alex Rodriguez and pushing out the dead wood.
Now, I don't know if it's going to be a ticker tape parade in New York City with these rookies, but I got to say, it is exciting to see the young players play because the Yankees pretty much have been unwatchable the last couple of years.
Absolutely.
It used to be from 96 to 2011, it was like going to watch a Broadway play with the best actors in town.
Right.
They've become unwatchable, boring the last few years, so it's been real exciting to see the youngsters come up and play.
And I agree, and I think AROD was that last sort of part of that whole huge, big money talent type of come and watch these players play, but they weren't getting it done anymore. And I think that the Yankees have been trying to get to, you know, sort of another way of doing things for a while, building up that farm system. And right now, as I said, they look very intelligent for going with the new kids, the young kids. And even though if they don't go to the World Series this year and there's no ticker tape parade, they're paving the way for the future.
Yeah, and there's some buzz, which is the important thing.
Absolutely.
Moving from the diamond to the gridiron, I waited 6 long months. 6 long months.
I've been dealing with you
for the start of the Jets season. And what do I get? I get the Jets, 7 sacks, probably the best defensive performance they've had since the mid-'80s with the sack exchange, okay? They rushed for 150 yards. Matt Forte looked excellent. And they lose the game.
Mike,
they lose the game. How did that happen?
Are you surprised? Are you really surprised? When we've been talking about this team now for years, everything has been kosher up front. What happens when you get to the secondary? I know it's Revis Island, but is it really anymore? I mean, A.J. Green destroyed him, and that's really what it came down to. A.J. Green made huge. I mean, look at this. They gave up 3 passes for more than 40 yards. For more than 40, 2 more than 50.
The secondary looked absolutely clueless out there. They looked confused. They didn't know what was going on, and Revis looked old. How does this A.J. Green catch 12 balls for 180 yards? How does that happen? How do they lose this game? Special teams was a disaster. Also, Gilchrist, a penalty on the final drive. There's no way the Jets should have lost this game. No way. This could be a season breaker for them.
Right.
The first game of the year could be a season breaker.
And you can't forget that they settled for field goals 3 times in the red zone. I mean,
and that's where they're going to miss Chris Ivory this year
absolutely.
is near the goal line there.
Yeah.
Because you got to be able to punch it in from the 1-yard line, and they weren't able to do that. The Jets should have been up by 2 touchdowns early in this game, and they weren't. That's where the game was lost.
Absolutely. And, I mean, moving forward, listen, I think the team has potential this year. I mean, I'm not going to say that I might disagree with you a little bit that it's a done deal after game 1. But you would like to see them finish what they started. And from a team, watching a team that gets into the red zone and is not able to put the ball in the red zone, that's dangerous. That tells you right there that they're not closers. They don't have the ability to go deep into games and win games. And I think that's been a similar sort of theme over the past few years.
Well, one guy that was able to get in the end zone was Victor Cruz. The Giants beat the Cowboys by 1 point, 20-19. Eli Manning seemed to have his weapons going. The additions they made on defense really helped out. Right. And the Giants got the job done in Big D. And it looked like it might be one of those games where they're going to lose on a last-second field goal once again. But they were really able to pull it out.
Listen, Mike, you don't know how long, as a Giants fan, I've been waiting for the day that there'd be more weapons other than Odell Beckham Jr. And now that Victor Cruz is back, now that Victor Cruz is healthy, and of course, we're going to get into some of the youngsters that are also helping out, this team is really going to produce. And you're going to see guys like Odell Beckham Jr. have huge years. You're going to have the defense focused on other guys, and it's going to open things up for ODB.
Well, I think also opening things up is, like you said, is Victor Cruz's return. He's going to be there in the slot. That's going to open things up. The running game is going to be a little more solid this year with Jennings, the consistency, and, of course, they got the rookie in Shepard. So he has the weapons this year, the most weapons he's probably really had since probably 2011.
Right.
So you're going to look at the Giants' offense. They're talking about Eli's age and everything. He's getting up there. We're talking about being the old 36 is the new 36. This guy could have a couple of more years and make another run for the Super Bowl if he has the weapons and they can get it done in defense. And look, the NFC East stinks. It absolutely stinks.
Say that again.
They get 10 wins, they're in the playoffs. There's no doubt about it. 10 wins, and they're in.
Sure. But the question mark has always been the defense, of course. So let's hope. I mean, they won this first game by a real slim margin. Let's hope that this defense holds up. And I know we're all happy and ecstatic that they were able to win this game, but let's not jump to conclusions here saying that it's a sealed season and the Giants are going to the Super Bowl. I mean, Larry Donnell had a big game as well. I've seen this guy have a big game before. Doesn't mean like the rest of the season is going to be that way for him. So let's not get too happy. I know that I got a little excited. They won the first game in exciting fashion. It's a hopeful season, and I think that if everything pans out, they're a Super Bowl contender. That's a bold statement,
well,
if everything pans out.
Speaking of hopeful, of course, the Cowboys should be happy with Dak Prescott. Played a solid game under center for the Cowboys. It's not going to look like Tony Romo's loss is going to be that detrimental to the team. Sure. Ezekiel Elliott had some good moves, young running back. The one concern might be Dez Bryant only had 1 reception in this game. But I gotta say that Cowboy fans have to be happy with this young quarterback, that it's not going to be a disaster of a season. This is a game they could have pulled out.
Absolutely. I think the Cowboys needed this, honestly. I think they needed a change from Tony Romo. I know he's been their guy for years now.
Let's not ordain him as Roger Staubach.
No. Dak Prescott did have a huge preseason, and I know everybody's expecting him
and a lot of the routes were very short. They didn't throw the ball down the field,
sure.
So they were trying to protect him.
Right, and I think they're expecting him to come in like gangbusters, but you have to see how this chemistry develops between him and Dez Bryant as the season goes on. Dez didn't have a whole lot of catches in this first game. He's a young quarterback. He's dealing with a veteran all-star like Dez Bryant. If they can get on the same page, and it's going to take time, this team is going to give the Giants a run for their money in this division. I mean, that's what's going to happen. I agree with you. Let's not put Dak Prescott in the Cowboys Hall of Fame just yet, but this kid's got potential.
Well, he's Anthony Carlo. I'm Mike Damergis for the first edition, Week 1 of the Sports Sit-Down. Want some coffee? I've got some cappuccino over there.
This guy.
Welcome back to the set.
Good to be here.